you're around cattle, you know, you're very prone to injuries. Any agriculture field, you're prone to injuries. I've had 4 knee surgeries, 2 shoulder surgeries. Then I had another accident crawling out of a skid steer loader feeding cattle, and I went one way and my boot stayed in the skid steer, and so I broke my knee in a couple places and then had to have another surgery. My brother had worked with a veterinarian in California, one of the foremost stem cell clinics in the country, and I just really became intrigued by that. He told us of a couple doctors in Beverly Hills that had just started.
We knew that none of our friends and family would go to Beverly Hills, California and get stem cell therapy. We both know a ton of farmers and ranchers that needed stem cell therapy so they could go to work every day. And we checked around, couldn't find anything close in the Midwest. So as we talked about it, we said, why wouldn't somebody start one here?
Initially, when I got started with this, it was a bit of a leap of faith on our part. And now that we're years later and many patients, we're beyond a leap of faith because now I'm seeing the results.
My name's Karen Cope and I have multiple sclerosis. I was diagnosed with MS on October 7th, 2008. About 2 years ago, I decided that I was done taking the medication and went off everything. I had heard about the stem cell research with the Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center in Manhattan, Kansas. Before we decided to do that, I had cognitive testing done, and I kind of felt like I wanted a benchmark to know if this really worked or not. And then July of 2017, we went to the Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center in Manhattan and had the stem cells done. The procedure went very well. And in the first week I thought, okay, is this the placebo effect? Is this really working? And I talked to my husband about it, and he was kind of like, well, who cares? You feel better. So as time went on, the fatigue went away. Things like my handwriting improved, muscle spasms were gone, the aches and pains of my everyday life with MS just were gradually fading away. The 6 months mark after the stem cells, I had the cognitive testing completed again, and the results indicated that I had a 6-point increase in my cognitive abilities. It was like somebody had taken Windex and washed all the fog off my brain. So I had the concrete, validated information that stem cells work.
In March of this year, I had a problem with my shoulders and considerable pain. I was taking a fair amount of pain pills just to sleep at night, and heard about the Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. We scheduled a time. I came in and I had both the shoulders treated. I had the treatment on a Saturday afternoon. I went home and I did chores, fed the cows that night, fed them the next morning. I didn't miss a day of work. It was absolutely amazing.
A lot of different ways of doing this woodwork, but all of it still takes both hands.
He had been told that by the orthopedic specialist in Enid, Oklahoma, that they would have to fuse his thumb.
And I said, no, cut it off, because I didn't want it sticking up. And I found out about the Kansas Regenerative and went to Manhattan. And he took out the stem cells. It took about an hour for him to process them before they put him back in my knees and my thumb. And we were out of here in about 4 hours and on our way back home. And I'm in here today to have my shoulders, my hips, and my back done. So I'll be able to go back to my sawmill, my shop, and do about anything I want to do.
Well, I am Marilyn Jones. I live in Peabody, Kansas. I had a couple of torn rotator cuffs, and the right one got to the point where I could hardly lift my arm. Well, since I'm the only one doing the farming and Gary can't really do very much of anything, and I hear the stories about the stem cells, and I had it done in my right shoulder. And for a while I didn't see any progress at all, and then all of a sudden I thought, mercy, I can raise up my arm and it doesn't hurt. So my experience with stem cells has really been great.
Anyway, we come up here and got this treatment, put some in my shoulders because I couldn't bend my head like this. I finally started getting my memory back, and I'm able to do about everything I was doing before, maybe more. I went outside and raised my hand and praised the Lord, you know.
When I learned about this process, I thought if there was a way to get rid of this pain, then I wanted to do it. So we did it and it worked.
Well, it's been
very gratifying to help people with their painful joints and other entities. And it's been especially gratifying to be able to help people who I know and have worked with and known for many years.
Earlier in my life, I rode bucking horses and my shoulders took such a beating, decided that I didn't want to have another surgery. I can do a lot of things that I couldn't do without a lot of pain previously.
I had stem cell therapy in my hips and my left knee. Since then, my hips are feeling a lot better.
I was in an accident where I fell off a roof. I had my neck done, my shoulders section of my back, my hips, my sacrum, my sciatica, and my tailbone. Now I am having better range of motion in my arms and my neck and my back.
About a year and a half ago, got to where I couldn't saddle a horse. The pain was terrible. Read about stem cell, went and had it done. I can do the things I used to do, and I want to personally thank the doctors, nurses, staff at Kansas Regenerative Medicine for the opportunity they give me to have my life back again.
I had my hips and knees done the same day and couldn't walk when I came from the car ride up. Could walk out on my own, and when I got home, could walk into the house by myself. I have not had a meloxicam, which is a pain reliever and anti-inflammatory, since January of last year.
I was here about 2 years ago and had my shoulder, had stem cell replacement in my shoulder. And it's been super for me. It's been a wonderful 2 years. My arm not only is very mobile, but it doesn't get sore. It gives me no trouble whatsoever.
I am sold on KRMC just because I have seen it firsthand, what it does and what it's done for my husband and for my son. And there was no question when I started having trouble with my right hip what I was going to do. I knew what I was going to do.
The mobility I have in my shoulder, prior to the therapy, this was as far as I could do this fine. I guess with the rotator and everything, you can't go this way. And I would be stopped right here. Well, now I've got all that flexibility back.
I can tell you that I don't have that fear of going up and down stairs anymore. I was crippled before, and I'm not now. And I won't be getting my knees replaced for quite some time.
You know, the people of the Regenerative Center do care about others. I've been highly impressed. The center and its work is centered around trying to help others, you know, and I think we're on the cutting edge of what lies ahead.
Blaine suffered a traumatic brain injury.
He couldn't hold his head up. He couldn't sit up straight. He couldn't use his arms other than to shake your hand. If you put your hand in his, he could hold it a little bit grasped, but he couldn't move his arms and utilize them. He had no use of his legs. They traveled all the way back down here to Manhattan specifically to have stem cells done at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center, just because of the reputation that we started to develop around the country.
It's like they're waking up. Like they've been sleeping, and the stem cells are making that connection now in the brain so that the arm, hand, and leg are starting to work again.
Without this place, without KRMC, I don't know where we'd be today.
With 5 years of experience and nearly 2,000 patients from across the country, KRMC has built a reputation and a track record for helping people improve their quality of life. There's a reason people choose KRMC.